It's alright. Hush.
Hey guys, it is March 21st as I record this video. I've achieved Master Tier in 2 days, and I just woke up right now. It is 4 p.m. Korean time, so I figured I'd make a guide on how I got to Master Tier with an 80% rate, mostly solo. Say I secured like 5 games or so with random Korean modes, but yeah, there it is. I'll show you my OPGG to show you what I went through. Just 45 games in 2 days pretty much. So, I started off 2 days ago, I believe. First game, we actually lost 2 of our first 3. So at this point, I just woken up, had not eaten any food, was pretty tired, and their entire team comp just countered Rex. But that defeats the purpose of this video. We'll discuss that. We mostly played Rex. I think I won 20 Rek'Sai games in a row after losing my first one. Picked Olaf as a counter pick to if they got Rek'Sai, or if I felt like I could take over a game on my own. 63% rate, not bad. Panther went 5-1. Kazakh still defeated, if you don't know the other account. I had not lost a Kazakh game either. I just feel like he's really farm heavy centric. So if I see a good opportunity to just farm early game, I'll pick it. Zen Zhao had bad success with him, kind of similar to Jarvan. I'm not really sure why. I had no luck with him, but it's whatever. Karthus, I picked him for heavy AD. Literally just tried her one game. I couldn't find the self-heal button, or self-gas when you press E. You have to like manually put your cursor or stuff, whatever. Anyways, yeah, we've achieved Master with 80% win rate in Korean servers in NA. This is actually Korea, so I'm gonna continue grinding, and I guess we'll see what happens. When you see this video in April, I'm gonna probably add the tips by then, and I'm sure you can make the best use of the jungle world. A lot of people think it's weak, I agree, but there's a lot of alternatives that can get you ahead and therefore get your team ahead, or can just carry that easily. So thanks for watching, and see you guys soon. I'm really excited, and I don't think not many people saw this coming. Take care.
So the first tip I have for you guys is to utilize your trinkets to the maximum potential. They do play a huge part in the game, and if used properly, can be pretty much considered a summoner spell, Worth of Vision, or Vision Denial. I have a lot of tips and tricks you can utilize with a combination of Rift in order to have the best usage of your trinket wards. In this first video, I always make sure to place a ward at a minute because this blocks an alleyway and the pixel brush for a late invade or just know where the enemy jungler is, or if they have it warded as well. And then I recall, and then I buy my red trinket and it denies 100 seconds of downtime in order to have it up back sooner. And it's NA solo queue. You want to know a new strat I've come up with?
Sure.
Drop ward level 1, recall, buy sweeper, 70-second cooldown. But I do it for jungle.
Oh, I've seen that on your YouTube video.
Oh, really? In this clip, I show you how to get 2 trinket wards for free. Basically, if you have your red trinket up and you're about to shop, you can just recall and buy yellow trinket and you'll get 2 free wards. This is very good early game because you can just have a specific side of the map warded and therefore be ready to counter gank or just deny ganks from the enemy jungler. We all know that Rift Herald is a good objective to have, but there's a lot of neat tricks you can utilize with it in order to increase your advantages of winning, mostly with trinket wards. One is that if you have no active trinkets up and you get the Rift Herald, you can basically just get 2 for free. If you drop one, let's say a yellow ward during the dropping of the Rift Herald, you'll have a second one as well. The best way to use Rift Herald in my opinion is to get a red trinket, and once you drop Rift Herald, you can utilize your red trinket instantly. And the amazing thing here is after the downtime on the first red trinket, you can utilize the second one right after, so you have a lot of room to deny vision for the enemy team. The second best tip I can give you guys is to play for objectives rather than kills. I'm sure you've all heard this before, but there's a lot more than just getting Baron or Drake. Because at the end of the day, to win a game, you have to destroy the enemy nexus or to get them to surrender. Obviously, kills are a great source of experience and gold, but they don't always guarantee wins. They just guarantee a lot of free income. It's so much harder to get kills in higher elos, so putting pressure on lanes will sometimes get you plates, which are just as good. Even chunking out the enemy laners' health, mana, anything, their potions even, very helpful. Usually summoner spells are the best to get there if you don't get kills. Playing for objectives like turret plates, turrets, inhibitors are one of the most underrated things as a jungler. Dragon and Rift Herald are also a great way of increasing your team's chance of winning, but make sure to prioritize the right ones. So mostly Infernal and Mountain are very good in every specific game. But if you have a poke siege comp, then getting stuff like Ocean or Cloud to disengage are just as helpful. It just depends on your specific team comp. Also, as I mentioned before, Rift Herald is extremely underrated. I believe the team in solo queue that gets Rift Herald first has like 10% higher chance of winning the game because it's just so useful as a component in order to close out games or just get a huge snowballing lead. If you kill someone on the side wave or if you kill their wave clearer, you can just drop Rift Herald and get probably tier 3 tower from tier 1 or an inhibitor depending on how strong or more strong your team is compared to the enemy team. So make sure to grab that Rift Herald whenever you can. The earlier the better, and if you can get it pre 14 minutes, you can just drop in the lane and get a lot of turret plate gold because pre 14 minutes of towers have plate still and armor and MR, so they're way harder to take, but Rift Herald just destroys through them and you can get a lot of gold for your laner and for yourself. Tip number 3 is identifying the jungle meta. So in Korea, identifying the meta wasn't hard, but it's obviously different, and I just give you a rough example. In Korea, people played for experience and gold from kills and assists rather than jungle camps. So with the decrease in experience you get from camps by 25%, a lot of junglers would just play for stuff like crabs, buffs. Krugs are really important, but in general, they would just counter jungle if they had to and leave a baby raptor or baby wolf up whenever possible. Another very important thing to note is that most junglers would hug a specific side of the map, mostly their strong side, and play specifically for that lane as the carry. So your priorities as jungler should look something like this in lanes. Turret, superior turret plates, superior to kill and assist. Obviously, you're getting gold from the plates, but you're also getting destruction of the enemy side of the map. So you're opening up the map and adding pressure on the map with the amount of extra space you're getting. So there's way more room for picks, Baron baits because they're going to be further away from the map and less safe if they step up. And there's just a lot more team play involved rather than just getting someone super fed and 1v9 the game on their own. That's what League has come down to pretty much. The more organized team will mostly end up winning in solo queue. That's just how it is. That's why you can see like really good solo queue players and even challengers losing lower elos.
I'm stunned. Fucking generates, man. I'm playing with. Like, I'm losing my mind playing with silver players, man.
If your team isn't organized or orchestrated, then they can easily lose games in silver, bronze. It doesn't matter. It's really rare, but there are times where team play is more important than mechanics and solo gameplay. Tip number 4 is understanding win conditions and weaknesses. This one takes way more time and experience from playing the game a lot, but eventually you'll get to the point of understanding way more about the game, but you'll understand what I mean eventually. Not many junglers in Korea played weak early game junglers, and obviously there's a reason for that. If you play the likes of weak early game junglers like Evelynn, Hecarim, that are really weak level 1, you'll get invaded level 1 pretty much every game. People will pick really strong early game champions and just bully you and pick on you for pretty much the entirety of the game. And this is why you don't see junglers in Korea pick weak early game junglers. You don't want to get bullied because it's really fast paced and people play a lot for the early game. This is why I pick Olaf a lot in any solo queue, because not many people pick strong early game junglers in high elo. Most are, if they're autofill, they'll pick like something very safe and not risky. So I'll just pick Olaf, late invade level 1, and then try to smite the buff or just fight them. Especially Olaf with Conquer is very strong in dueling, and you can smite the buff away from you, get level 2, get a point in W, and you can pretty much 1v2 easily with this passive because Olaf is very strong early game. As far as win conditions go, it's obviously not every game that your team's 5v5 will be better. No matter how ahead you are, there are some games where you won't be expecting it, but your teammates will be losing team fights. So sometimes it's better to just understand that you have a split pusher, a team with no engage, your team is all AD or AP, etc. All these things can stack up and lead to team fight losses. So just play accordingly to the game circumstances and adapt if something is not going right. So for example, if your team is super ahead, but the enemy team comp with shields has like Lulu, Janna, Ivern, and you're just losing 5v5, maybe it's a better idea to put your Zed mid and the side wave, same with your Jax top, and just 1-3-1. If the enemy team has really strong shields and heals, it means they're really good at peeling back and disengaging and taking damage. But if you split up the map and force them to go into the sideways to defend, then they're going to be put in a really tough spot because their comp won't be as potent. Eventually they'll overcommit to one specific side of the map, whether it be the 3 people, the 1 or the other one. Then you can look for Baron baits, you can look for Baron finishes, and just get them in a rough spot instead of just forcing 5v5 all game and then asking why you're losing continuously, because you don't always have to team fight to win. There are a lot of people that pick Fiora, Jax, etc., these really power heavy split pushers, and they're not being utilized to their maximum potential, and they're not the best team fighters unless you're just cleaning up. So like I said, usually Baron makes this really easier to close out the game, but if you have like something like an Ivern, his ult pretty much is like half a champion. Same with Mordekaiser, you check out Dragons, push down the lanes, but the best thing and the most consistent thing is obviously just getting Rift Herald. It's really good to, like I said, I explained earlier, really good to close out the game and get inhibitors as fast as possible and having a lot of free pressure on one specific side of the map. The final tip I have for you guys is probably the most important one, and the one I learned the most in Korea, is help the bottom lane. So like I said, it is the biggest thing I learned in Korea, because the game has gotten to such a point where it's so team oriented that getting the lane with the most people in it will increase your chance of winning by so much. In Korea, the bottom lane was pretty much a 3v3 at all time, and whoever's bottom lane would win would mostly end up winning the game. Even if you're a mid laner, try to get your lane shoved in and rotate bottom as soon as possible if you have the opportunity to. So a lot of mid laners will pick like Talia and either just roam the entire game or help their jungler or look for solo kills on the enemy jungler. But obviously this won't work all the time if your bot lane is really weak, like Ezreal Jan early game that lack power and lack crowd control. So you can, in this situation, look for counter ganks or just set up vision in order to put yourself in an advantageous spot with like a teleport or a global down bottom and just get the man advantage, and then get that really weak early game that's really good at scaling ahead as soon as possible. If you're in a situation where you got your bottom lane extremely ahead and you can get the tower down, just make sure to just lead your team, rotate, get them to the top lane, get your top laner to the bottom lane. Most of the time they'll have teleports so that they can join the fight, and just have that side pressure as soon as possible. After that, if you can get the top tower down, you can go for Rift Herald, but obviously there are games where a top tower is going to be hard to get down because their top laner has a lot of wave clear, or maybe their 2v2 from their jungler is stronger, or your bot lane just fights a 2v2 without you being there. Then you can also go down to mid lane if they have a non-wave clear mid, because that is a rare exception, but it does happen sometimes. So just make sure to situation properly and go mid or top with the Rift Herald. Just make sure to play the map as a ladder, one step at a time. You can't penetrate the Nexus, let alone the inhibitor, without taking all the turrets down of one specific lane you're in. So it's obviously easier to just take down all tier 1s, tier 2s, and then looking for a specific inhibitor, depending on your team's win condition, whether it be team fighting or split pushing. After inhibitor is down, you can get free minion pressure on the side of the map, or you can bait Baron, Elder, or just force a team fight where you see a man advantage situation, power play. Well, that's the 5 best tips I can give you guys for solo queue climbing in Season 9. This video took an extremely long time to make and a lot of effort went into it, so I really appreciate a thumbs up if you can. I'll be making a lot more, uploading a lot more videos from Korean high elo solo queue, so if you want to see those, make sure to subscribe. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the year with you guys. Thank you so much for being a part of this community, and see you soon.